Have you ever wondered why some people seem to stand firm no matter what life throws at them? The storm comes, but they remain calm. The pressure increases, but they do not break. The world shakes around them, but somehow they continue moving forward with confidence, peace, and faith. What is their secret? Is it intelligence? Is it money? Is it power? No. The secret is something far greater. And today, I want to share with you a message that has transformed millions of lives throughout history. A message rooted in the teachings of Jesus Christ, a message that can change the way you see your struggles, your fears, your future, and even yourself. Because right now, there may be things weighing heavily on your heart. Maybe you're fighting a battle nobody knows about. Maybe you're exhausted from carrying responsibilities that seem too heavy. Maybe you've prayed for answers and heaven feels silent. Maybe you've lost something precious. Maybe you're questioning whether God truly sees what you're going through. If that's you, stay with me. Because today's message is not an accident. Sometimes God speaks through a whisper. Sometimes through His Word. Sometimes through a message that arrives exactly when a person needs it most. And perhaps this message is one of those moments. The truth is that Jesus never promised a life without storms. He never promised a path without challenges. He never said believers would never suffer. But He did promise something far greater. He promised that we would never walk through those storms alone. That changes everything. Think about that for a moment. The presence of God does not always remove the storm, but it changes the person walking through it. Many people spend their lives praying for easier circumstances. Yet Jesus often works by making us stronger instead. Imagine a tree growing in a sheltered environment. No wind. No resistance. No pressure. At first it appears healthy. But when a storm eventually arrives, its roots are shallow. It cannot withstand the force. Now imagine another tree. It faces strong winds repeatedly. Every challenge forces its roots deeper into the ground. Every storm strengthens it. Every season prepares it. Years later, it stands tall and firm. The storms that once threatened it actually helped create its strength. Many believers don't realize that God often works the same way in our lives. The difficulty you're facing may not be evidence that God has abandoned you. It may be evidence that He is preparing you. Preparing you for a future you cannot yet see. Preparing you for blessings you cannot yet imagine. Preparing you for responsibilities you are not yet ready to carry. This is one of the greatest secrets Jesus revealed. Growth often comes disguised as struggle. The disciples learned this firsthand. Before they became bold leaders, they experienced fear. Before they changed the world, they doubted. Before they performed miracles, they faced impossibilities. God was developing them. And He is developing you. Perhaps you've looked at your current situation and thought, I can't handle this anymore. I don't know how much longer I can keep going. I feel overwhelmed. Those feelings are real. God sees them. God understands them. But feelings do not determine your future. Faith does. Faith is not pretending problems don't exist. Faith is trusting God despite the problems. Faith is continuing forward when emotions tell you to quit. Faith is believing that God is still working even when you cannot see evidence yet. Many of the greatest miracles in Scripture happened after people reached the end of their own strength. Moses faced the Red Sea. David faced Goliath. Daniel faced the lions. The disciples faced impossible situations repeatedly. Each time, human strength was not enough, and that was exactly the point. Because when human strength ends, God's power begins to shine. Maybe you're at that place right now. Maybe you've done everything you know to do. Maybe you've exhausted every plan, every solution, every strategy. And now you're standing there wondering what happens next. If that's where you are, remember this. God often does His greatest work when people finally stop relying entirely on themselves. Jesus teaches God reliance. There is a difference. Self-reliance says, I must carry everything. God-reliance says, I will do my part and trust God with what I cannot control. That trust creates peace. Not because circumstances instantly improve, but because the burden is no longer yours alone. The world teaches self-reliance. One of the greatest lies people believe is that they must be strong all the time. Jesus never required perfection. He never required endless strength. He never required people to have all the answers. Again and again, he welcomed the broken, the tired, the discouraged, the wounded, the fearful. Why? Because God specializes in restoring what appears weak. Some of the strongest believers today were once the most broken people. Some of the most powerful testimonies began with devastating struggles. Some of the brightest lights were once surrounded by darkness. Never underestimate what God can do with a surrendered heart. Your weakness does not disqualify you. Sometimes it becomes the very place where God's strength is revealed. Think about a candle. A candle shines brightest in darkness. Not in daylight. Not when everything is easy. Darkness creates the opportunity for light to be seen. Likewise, difficult seasons often reveal the power of God's presence in ways comfortable seasons never could. This doesn't mean pain is enjoyable. It doesn't mean suffering is easy. But it does mean suffering is not meaningless. God wastes nothing. Not your tears, not your disappointments. Not your waiting. Not your heartbreak. Not your setbacks. Every experience can become part of a greater story. A story that God is writing even now. Perhaps you're waiting for breakthrough. A healing. A financial answer. A restored relationship. A new opportunity. A clear direction. Waiting can feel frustrating. But waiting is never wasted when God is involved. Many times, God's delays are actually preparations. Imagine receiving something before you're ready to handle it. The blessing could become a burden. The opportunity could become overwhelming. The responsibility could crush you. God sees the entire picture. We see only a small piece. That's why trust matters. Trust says, God, I don't understand everything, but I trust your wisdom. That kind of faith changes a person. Because peace does not come from knowing every answer. Peace comes from knowing who holds the answers. Jesus understood this perfectly. Even during the most difficult moments of his earthly life, he trusted the Father. That trust allowed him to remain steadfast. And he invites us to do the same. There will always be reasons to fear. Reasons to worry, reasons to doubt. Reasons to quit. The world provides endless opportunities for anxiety. But Jesus repeatedly reminded his followers not to be afraid. Why? Because fear focuses on problems. Faith focuses on God. Fear magnifies obstacles. Faith magnifies possibilities. Fear asks, what if everything goes wrong? Faith asks, what if God is working behind the scenes right now? That single shift in perspective can transform your entire outlook. Imagine facing tomorrow with confidence instead of fear. Imagine sleeping peacefully instead of constantly worrying. Imagine walking through challenges knowing that God is with you. That is the life Jesus invites believers to experience. Not a perfect life. Not an easy life. But a life anchored in something stronger than circumstances. The secret is not avoiding storms. The secret is building your life on a foundation that storms cannot destroy. And that foundation is Christ. When your identity is rooted in Him, failure cannot define you. When your identity is rooted in Him, criticism cannot destroy you. When your identity is rooted in Him, setbacks cannot stop you. Because your worth no longer depends on changing circumstances. That it depends on an unchanging God, and that changes everything. Today, if you're feeling weak, remember this: you have survived every difficult day that has brought you to this moment. God has carried you through challenges before. He can carry you again. Your story is not over. Your best chapter may still be ahead. The breakthrough may be closer than you think. The answer may already be on its way. The miracle may be developing behind the scenes. Keep believing. Keep praying. Keep trusting, keep moving forward. Because God is not finished with your story. And sometimes the greatest victories arrive just after people are tempted to give up. So do not give up. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Hold on. Stay faithful. Stay hopeful. Stay steadfast, because Jesus revealed a secret that changes everything. The strongest people are not those who never struggle. The strongest people are those who continue trusting God through the struggle. And that trust has the power to make you unshakable. There are moments in life when everything seems to be moving in the wrong direction. You pray, but the answer does not come. You work hard, but the results seem delayed. You try to stay positive, but new challenges keep appearing. And slowly, a question begins to form in your heart. God, where are you? Many believers have asked that question. Even some of the greatest men and women of faith experienced seasons when God appeared silent. But here's something important to understand. God's silence does not mean God's absence. Just because you cannot hear Him does not mean He has left you. Just because you cannot see Him working does not mean He has stopped working. In fact, some of God's greets, invisible. Nothing seems to be happening. Days pass. Weeks pass. Yet beneath the surface, life is developing. Roots are forming. Strength is growing. Preparation is taking place. And eventually, what was hidden becomes visible. Many people quit during the hidden season. They give up before the breakthrough, they stop believing before the miracle. They walk away before the harvest. But faith means trusting God even when the evidence is not visible yet. That is one of the hardest lessons Jesus taught. When Peter stepped out onto the water, he did not have all the answers. He simply trusted Jesus enough to take the next step. And sometimes that's exactly what faith looks like. Not having every answer. Not seeing the entire path, simply taking the next step God has placed before you. Many people are waiting for God to reveal the entire future. But often God only reveals enough for the next step. Why? Because faith grows through trust. If you could see every detail, faith would not be necessary. Trust is developed when uncertainty exists.